Welcome. This presentation takes a look at ongoing efforts to evaluate mentorship and the Pathways Fellows Program at Sacramento State University. Currently, the Sac State Fellows Program is undergoing an evaluation, which includes an assessment of its activities, goals, objectives, and experiences of its participants. Phase 1 includes an analysis of the many reports our program generates, such as annual reports, participant reaction to program activities, and fellows' end of program evaluations. The second phase of our program evaluation includes the planned distribution of surveys to program participants and semi-structured interviews. Today, I will focus on the findings of Phase 1 relative to mentorship, and I will discuss how these results will frame our evaluation of mentorship in Phase 2. Let's take a closer look at our program. Our leadership team is interdisciplinary. Our PI, Dr. Jana Noel, is on faculty in the College of Education. Dr. Timothy Fong is a professor in the Department of Ethnic Studies. I'm Jackie Brooks, and I'm an associate professor in the Department of Sociology. And Don Yu Wang is our program coordinator. He is a doctoral student in multicultural education at Sac State. Our fellows engage the program throughout the calendar year, January through December. In spring, they attend research workshops facilitated by experts in educational research. In addition, they work in research teams, led by their faculty research mentors. During the summer, they work at a variety of campus and community organizations that focus on educational research and policy. During the fall, fellows receive guided assistance from graduate school coaches who walk fellows through the graduate school admissions process. On average, we have 9 fellows in each cohort. 3 cohorts were a part of, in 3 of our cohorts, we had 10 fellows, and 2 cohorts, including our current cohort, have 13 fellows. The number of faculty research mentors who hail from many departments on our campus have increased since year 1. The number on the table only reflects those faculty research mentors who worked with fellows during that particular cohort year. It does not reflect our full pool of faculty research mentors. We have been able to successfully match our fellows with faculty research mentors even when the cohort size increases. We carefully consider the size of the research team in an effort not to overburden the faculty research mentor and to maximize the benefits of collaborative learning. Although mentorship is experienced most intensely in the research teams, our fellows also receive mentorship within their apprenticeship sites that they take a part of in the summer. Our list of partnered campus and community organizations has doubled since our first cohort, meaning fellows not only receive hands-on experience from an array of leaders on campus and in the community, they are provided with opportunities to build their professional networks. One of our former fellows commented that learning from someone else that has a different discipline really taught me a lot about being really patient and understanding different perspectives. You're often trained in one discipline and you think that's the norm. Working with someone else opens your eyes on how to approach research. This particular fellow, Zen Vang, is actually now a doctoral student at UC Davis. As a result of the wide-ranging and year-long mentorship our fellows receive, they have accomplished much. Their engagement with their research teams and other program participants has yielded multiple publications. We've also seen our fellows present at many regional conferences. Over 70% of our fellows have enrolled in graduate programs, and we have fellows enrolled in PhD programs in many different universities, including Stanford, UC Irvine, UNLV, UC Davis, University of Arizona, and the University of Houston. Just as an interesting aside, two of our former fellows are currently rooming with each other at the University of Arizona, both receiving their doctorates in educational research. We are very proud of all of our fellows. Now let's take a closer look at what we learned about mentorship during phase 1 of our program evaluation. First, we learned that including assessment tools that allow fellows to voice their own unique experiences engages fellows as partners in evaluation rather than the objects of evaluation. For example, in the reaction to the research training workshops and the overall program, fellows expressed an interest in more directed learning. By remaining flexible and open to fellows' concerns, our program implemented changes that honors our fellows' interest in shaping their own educational experiences. The entire program benefits when we integrate the voices of our fellows. Second, we learned that tracking their progress through the program required more frequent and more structured assessments. For example, we now perform check-ins with students during each stage of the program, spring, fall, and summer. In particular, the summer check-ins include 2 site visits to the fellow's apprenticeship site and an evaluation survey completed by the fellow and the apprenticeship site manager. This process allows us to focus on the concerns of fellows and the apprenticeship site manager in the moment rather than after the apprenticeship has ended. This strengthens opportunities for mentorship by supporting the fellow and the campus community partner. Third, as our fellows receive more directed learning and receive more engaged mentorship across the program, we connect these experiences with increased participation in the program, professional development growth, and stronger interest in graduate education. Thus, we connect high-impact practices, or what we call engaged learning, with our program effectiveness. Previous research shows that, in particular, underrepresented students benefit from engagement in deep learning activities. This effort becomes more potent when underrepresented fellows engage in multiple high-impact practices as they do in our program. For example, based on fellows' feedback, we introduced more hands-on research training and added 2 graduate school coaches who work directly with fellows. Both create opportunities for valued mentorship. We have learned that successful program evaluation, which includes listening to our fellows, helps us to identify ways to strengthen our mentorship efforts. As we move forward with phase 2 of our evaluation, we want to learn how to better support the valued bonds that develop within the research teams. Although we want to understand how to support the entire team, we acknowledge that the research teams are comprised of participants who have independent needs. For example, becoming immersed in a program that hopes to demystify higher education can be intimidating for underrepresented fellows. We rely on our faculty research mentors, many of whom share experiences of feeling marginalized and isolated within academia, with our fellows to guide their paths. However, as faculty are engaged in the tenure line, we want to understand how best to support our faculty research mentors in this process. We want their experiences in the Pathways Fellows program to be additive, not diminish their professional development. The second phase of our evaluation will utilize a series of rubrics to gauge program effectiveness. The mentorship rubric assesses the experience of fellows and faculty research mentors across 3 indicators of effective mentorship: engagement in educational research, rapport with faculty research mentors, and program support of the faculty research mentors. When we're looking at engagement in educational research, we want to get a better understanding of whether we're meeting our program goals by providing our fellows with guided educational research training. We also want to be able to measure whether our students are broadening their knowledge about educational research and whether this training, whether in workshops or working with our faculty research mentors, is helping to develop their research skills. When it comes to the bond that the fellow builds with their faculty research mentors, that can often be a more esoteric component to measure. We're interested in understanding the strength of the mentor-mentee relationship, how well the faculty research mentor and their fellows or mentees were able to establish a bond, not only during the program, but after the program has ended. We expect for our faculty research mentors to be instrumental in helping our fellows to develop their networks, to expand beyond the networks that they have already established. We have found a way within our surveys and through our interviews to be able to measure how well those networks have grown. The support of our faculty research mentors will be measured by the program's efforts to support guided research, provide a supportive environment for faculty research mentors, and the manner to which we have also helped our faculty research mentors to develop their own professional development. Many of our faculty research mentors come from underrepresented groups themselves. It's very important for us to be able to support their research, thereby supporting them in the tenure line. We look forward to generating meaningful results that will improve our program. We will move forward with data collection, data analysis, and write-up of the full report in spring 2022. We anticipate that our program evaluation will improve our efforts to build a cohesive program. It is important for us to understand how best to support mentorship across our program, creating opportunities for all program participants, especially our valued fellows. Thank you. If you have any questions, here's my email.
Greetings, colleagues. We are so pleased that you could join us today. I'm here to talk about RISE, the Research Institute for Scholars of Equity, and the lessons learned in terms of mentoring students to graduate programs. My name is Wynetta Lee. I am here with my colleague, Dr. Nina Smith, and we represent North Carolina Central University in Durham, North Carolina. As I said, RISE stands for the Research Institute for Scholars of Equity, and I know that's a little confusing as there are two RISE programs that are pathway training awards. We were originally funded in 2016, and the award was given to North Carolina Central University, and we partnered with the University of North Carolina at Wilmington. And I am privileged and pleased to serve as the PI for RISE, along with Dr. Marta Sanchez in our original award. She serves as co-PI. We were funded to train up to 60 fellows over the life of the grant. And we were doing very well with retaining our students through the entire process up until COVID. Pre-COVID, our attrition rates were low, but COVID really did take a toll on our cohort 4. We learned that flexibility was crucial because RISE is developed to be an on-campus program face-to-face, and we had to transition to a virtual space to provide the experience. RISE, in addition to having partnering institutions, we have collaborating institutions, and those institutions collectively are where we recruit students from. We start in the summer with a summer research institute that is actually a boot camp. And we do intensive training on research rigor. And we also work on the graduate application process, including training for the GRE. RISE is developed into rigs. We take the entire group and put them into research interest groups according to similar research interest, and that is led by a faculty mentor. But the faculty mentors are not the only people who mentor the RISE fellows. The PI, the co-PIs, our contractors, our collaborating institutions all share into the mentoring process for RISE. And it would not be overstating a fact to say that mentoring is an extremely vital component of the RISE experience. So now we're going to talk about lessons learned thus far. We are winding down our original award, and these lessons will be walked into our subsequent award, RISE 2.0. And one of the most important things we've learned is around this concept of communication. And we know we've learned and we've observed, and students have told us that the communication happens immediately. When students first reach out for initial information, that sets the tone and the stage for how communication is going to proceed going forward. And you generally get one shot at that. You don't always get a second chance to make a first impression with students. We've also learned that in communication, while it is true you would have both listening and speaking as part of a dialogue, we have learned over and over again that the most important part of communication with RISE fellows happens to be listening. It is very, very important to listen to students so that you can hear clearly what their needs are and how to proceed in the mentor role. But not only that, we serve a population that has historically been, continues to be, and has lived experiences at such a young age of being marginalized in our society. And listening to them gives them voice. And it is critically important that students have a voice such that they feel like somebody is actually hearing them. Sometimes students simply want to be heard. They don't really want you to do anything by way of fixing it. They just simply want to be heard. And the wonderful thing about this is that this gives students practice for becoming their own advocate. Dr. Smith is going to talk a little bit more about our infrastructure and how we carry out our program called RISE at NCCU.
Thank you, Dr. Lee. Before the implementation of RISE, we partnered with an organization who conducted mentoring training with us. Their training utilizes a vertical and horizontal mentoring model whereby everyone are allies. So you have the vertical mentoring, which occurs among mentors and assigned fellows, as well as horizontal mentoring, which occurs amongst peers. Because fellows have more frequent contact between each other, that horizontal or peer-to-peer mentoring is especially evident. We've learned that every RISE participant is a mentor, whether you are a formal mentor, PI, or fellow. And in our experience, this mentoring occurs both episodically and continuously, meaning there may be brief interactions where mentoring happens, and there may also be ongoing instances of mentoring. Another lesson we learned centers around the capabilities of our fellows. While fellows join RISE with little to no awareness of research, their potential should not be underestimated. Therefore, as a mentor, it is okay and appropriate to set high expectations. Another important characteristic that factors into fellows' potential is diversity. Our fellows are diverse in terms of race and ethnicity, gender, socioeconomic status, education classification, and geographical location. And these varying backgrounds contribute to their individual learning capacity. So recognizing these differences should really guide mentoring efforts. Other considerations include the unique needs of fellows, and this builds on Dr. Lee's point about the importance of listening. While mentoring, you quickly become aware of the varying pace at which fellows matriculate through RISE. And so, in short, there really isn't a one-size-fits-all mode of mentoring. Our mentoring efforts entail nurturing fellows' openness to disseminate their research at local and national conferences, as well as other open forums. We created a conference at the end of RISE's summer boot camp, during which fellows present their research. They also participate in a mock dissertation proposal defense. We've noticed that the more fellows present, the more their confidence is enhanced. And this is important as they transition to doctoral programs. And we have indeed seen participation in PhD programs among our fellows. So in sum, we have gleaned many valuable lessons about the importance of mentoring our next generation of scholars. What has been most rewarding is the reciprocal nature of our mentoring experience. And I will let Dr. Lee chime in on that as well.
That should not be underestimated, the value of the vertical mentoring model, but sometimes it's the student who serves in the role as mentor, as they mentor us in terms of teaching us how to successfully bridge the generation gap, the experience gap, and to keep us current with how to effectively communicate with them and their generation. We've learned a lot about this, and to say the least, RISE requires a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of energy, and the more successful your mentoring relationship is, the more comfortable students are willing to contact you regardless of the hour on the clock. All of that being said, we have learned the most important thing is which we would absolutely continue to do this work, evidenced by RISE 2.0. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you have additional questions or want to chat with us about our work, please contact us as is listed on the screen. Thank you so very much.
Hello, we would like to share a little bit of our experience with the UTSA P20 Pathways in Education mentoring program today. My name is Guadalupe Carmona and I serve as PI of this program.
And I am Anne-Marie Ryan. I am the co-PI here at UTSA in the Pathways program. We'll start out with a quote from one of our fellows in our current cohort that just finished up. The fellow states, "You have planted seeds of possibilities in my heart, and for that I am very grateful. I don't know what lies ahead for me, but I know that I want to keep going with my education because I am capable of doing so." Today we're going to share some data with you from our current cohort, Cohort 4, of the Pathways program. We're here at the University of Texas at San Antonio, and you can see some of the stats about who we serve. And this program serves particularly undergraduates, which makes us a little different than a lot of the other Pathways programs. And you can get a picture there that we serve predominantly Hispanic or Latinx population. And that's an important thing for you to understand. And we have a high transfer population and students who come from military families or are veterans themselves. Our program objectives for the Pathways program is to support undergraduate students from underrepresented groups in the South Texas region, with an interconnected set of research experiences and mentoring support that builds upon their strengths and connects students to educational pipeline issues directly impacting their local community. So we're enhancing students' subject matter knowledge of P20 pipeline issues, developing students' qualitative and quantitative research skills, enhancing their oral and written communication skills, and preparing fellows to apply and succeed in education graduate programs. Additionally, we're looking to enrich students' research experiences and prepare them for graduate study in the education sciences to enhance the diversity in the field of education by increasing the number of students from groups that remain underrepresented in doctoral study. We do that in a kind of a way of our training program, looking at mentoring across this series of experiences. And so we bring them in for an academic year of research apprenticeship. We have mentors here at the university, including the Pathways staff, as well as faculty mentors, like many of the other programs in the Pathways program across the country. And then we have mentors from our collaborating organizations, including ETS and Stanford University, that provides some deep experiences with our students. And that includes Stanford faculty and graduate students. But we also have summer research internship opportunities with ETS and with the UW faculty in Madison, Wisconsin. And in the next iteration of the grant, we'll also have a partnership with Georgia State University and have opportunities for internships there. This last year, our Cohort 4 experience was slightly different. Because of COVID-19, it upended our timeline a bit. And so instead of starting with the regular academic year, we started with the calendar year. And we had to kind of reshuffle our training efforts and started in January. And instead of kind of walking through month by month here, you can just get a sense by glancing at that timeline. We had to kind of regroup, connect with our cohort in January, get them connected to mentors while we were also giving them research training and connecting them to their goals and establishing that with them, and then getting them connected with the ETS folks in May, and out to internships early on in their experience with us. So we also had to do most of the program online, with very few exceptions. We were in an online environment with this particular cohort, and it was a large cohort of 17 fellows.
So I would like to present now the mentoring framework that we've used for this program. It's basically supported in the research on two areas. One is for UTSA fellows to develop funds of knowledge through formal activities that Dr. Ryan presented that are supported by the mentoring network, not only at UTSA offices and faculty, but also from our external collaborators, Stanford, ETS, UW-Madison, and Georgia State University in the next cycle. The second component is for mentors to provide students with that social capital and the needed institutional support so that they can overcome obstacles and manage their mentoring relationships and also their navigating academia. So our theoretical framework really combines the two, the UTSA fellows acquiring those funds of knowledge based on Stanton Salazar's work, and the mentoring network, which empowers fellows as active researchers that are changing the world and impacting their communities, supported in the work of Freire and Hagler. And those two are mediated by the activities that are part of the one-year program through the UTSA P20 pathways. So there are 3 areas of development that are supported through that interaction of the fellows with the mentoring network mediated by the program activities. And those are the socio-emotional development, cognitive development, and identity development. What we mean by the socio-emotional development is involving the cultivation of a trusting mentoring relationship, that sense of self-worth to receive help, but also the positive help-seeking skills in fellows. By cognitive development, we mean providing students with new experiences and opportunities, the transmission of academic and occupational knowledge, cultural capital to navigate educational institutions and its cultural norms, and instillment of critical consciousness. And by identity development, we mean fostering students to forge a multicultural identity, empowering them to navigate the educational institutions while maintaining their cultural and familial values. That means their identity as scholars, in which they are part of academia as much as academia is part of them. So with this framework in mind, we created an instrument to help us address the following research question. What are the critical factors within UTSA P20 Pathways mentoring system that have expanded educational and professional opportunities towards doctoral study in educational research? So in that survey, fellows report the level of support that they received from their mentoring network. So the degree goes from little support to very strong support, and they identify different mentors within their mentoring network, and we asked them to determine the level of support that they received in those 4 criteria that are associated with the 3 areas of development previously presented. So the criteria are psychological and emotional, subject and research knowledge, the goal setting, and identity development. So based on the results, we created this spider graph. And this spider graph provides that degree of the level of support that they received from each of the mentors. That goes from 0 to 4, our scale. And then each node is identified by the different mentors that the student had during the program. And then each color line represents the criteria of the type of support that they received: psychological and emotional, goal setting, subject and research knowledge, and role modeling. So we see the way that we interpreted this graph, some of the results surprised us, and some of them were very aligned to the literature. So a little bit of elaboration. First, we see that in the 4 areas, the support is pretty well balanced in terms of that network of support. So through the network of support, they receive strong support in those 4 areas. We see that they find a strong support from the UTSA faculty mentors and pathway staff, but as strong is the support that they receive from the external mentors, ETS, Stanford team, and UW-Madison. We also see that in terms of their pathways peers, the support is strong, but not as strong as with the other mentors. And we were a little bit surprised by that result, because we felt that their pathway peers usually provide a lot more support. And we wonder if this result is due to the fact that what we're reporting is from Cohort 4 fellows, which basically most of their program, as Dr. Ryan mentioned, was done via Zoom. And so this environment mediated different types of interactions that perhaps they didn't feel were a strong support in these areas from their Pathways peers. The other result that is aligned to the literature is the support that they receive from family and friends. And we see that they receive a strong support in most areas, and that it's a lower support that they perceive in subject and research knowledge. And so we see that this is strengthened by the mentorship received in the through the other mentoring supports. So in terms of the 3 areas of development, we see that the socio-emotional development is the strongest support from family and friends, but as strong is the support from faculty and academic mentors from Pathways, from UTSA, and from our collaborating mentors. And it's not as strong from the Pathway peers. In terms of the cognitive development, we see that that's the strongest support that they receive from their Pathway peers, but it's still stronger, the one that they receive from the faculty and academic mentors, and not as strong from family and friends. And in terms of the identity development, they feel a strong support from faculty and academic mentors, and it's more moderate from family, friends, and the Pathway peers. So one of the things that we conclude from this is that we see that fellows perceive a very strong support in all 3 areas from their institutional mentors. And so what we conclude is that the mentoring is critical to the success of the fellows in their pathways towards educational research. We'd like to close with these quotes from Cohort 4 fellows, which bring together those 3 areas of development in their comments that they wanted to share. Before this program, I thought that getting a bachelor's degree was the best I could do. I now understand that there is more to learn and more to achieve. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. You will forever remain in my heart. Please do keep giving opportunities to immigrants like me. We often don't know how the system works, and thus we don't know about the opportunities available. There are brilliant, hardworking immigrant students that came to this country not only to work hard and have a better life, but also to contribute to the success and progress of this nation. Thank you for all you do. So if there's any additional information, we'd be happy to receive an email from you. Thank you very much. With appreciation to our Pathways collaborators, to IES for funding and supporting this program, and to our colleagues and friends from the other Pathways programs within this country. Thank you.
Hello and welcome. I'm Megan Stump, Program Coordinator and Postdoctoral Fellow for Project RISE at the University of Maryland. And today I will be discussing characteristics of research mentors that successfully support underrepresented undergraduates in education research. So I'll start by providing an overview of our program and then look at the research mentor mentoring a little more in depth. So our program, Project RISE, which stands for Research Institute for Scholars in Education, is a joint collaboration between the University of Maryland, College Park, and Bowie State University, also located in Maryland. And together, our institutions mentor a diverse cohort of undergraduates from both universities for the students to learn about research in language and literacy with the long-term goal of increasing the diversity of the doctorate in education. Our program provides exposure to rigorous research projects in language and/or literacy, multiple forms of mentoring, and ongoing support for professional development. Our students, who are called fellows, have a year-long experience that starts in June and goes until the end of May. Students are recruited, interviewed, and selected to be part of a cohort that participates in this year-long paid research fellowship to help students gain research skills in education, the field of education. And while learning these research skills, fellows develop a research question and then write a 12 to 15-page systematic literature review to answer that question. While they are developing research skills, they are also getting support in applying to graduate school. Our fellows are immersed in high quality quantitative, qualitative, and mixed methods research. So starting in June, fellows attend a full-time intensive 8-week summer academy, which is taught by research faculty from the University of Maryland, where they learn about methods of research. They then participate in a faculty member's research lab during the fall and spring semester of the academic year. In January, during our winter break, students attend a 2-week winter academy that focuses on writing their systematic review, which is led by faculty from Bowie State University. And then once a month, students participate in a Saturday Connection professional development session where we have invited guest speakers who come in and share on topics ranging from how to apply to graduate school to how to organize one's time, communicate with faculty, how to write about research and present on research. With our mentoring aspect, each fellow has a triad of mentors that they are connected with. And that involves a research mentor, an academic mentor, and a graduate peer mentor. The research mentor is a faculty member at the University of Maryland, and that is whose lab the fellow partakes in during the year to learn their research skills and also start to develop the concept and question of their systematic review paper. The academic mentor is a faculty member from Bowie State University, and they help the fellow with writing their systematic review paper. So they work with them more closely one-on-one during the winter academy, and then in the spring semester with that full development of the paper. And lastly, the fellow has a graduate peer mentor who is a current doctoral student or postdoctoral fellow that is a member of the research mentors lab and is there to help the fellow on a more peer-to-peer level in helping them acclimate to just school life, what it's like to be a graduate student, and also just learn the ways of a lab. So the members of this mentoring team work with the fellows for the year to ensure academic success as the fellow learns research skills and prepares for graduate school. So I'm going to focus a little more deeply on our research mentors out of that mentoring triad. So our research mentors, who are the faculty at University of Maryland, involve students either remotely or in person in labs or in local schools. Activities for the fellows include data collection, observations, coding and data entry, analysis and interpretation of data, as well as presenting at conferences and or writing research papers. So some of our fellows have had the opportunity to publish with their research mentors, which is really great because they're leaving their undergraduate experience with a publication. So our fellows have identified types of support that have helped them be successful in our program and support that specifically comes from their research mentor. And this feedback comes specifically from our year 2 cohort of fellows, and they identified research support, a supportive relationship, and mentor modeling as successful types of support that a research mentor can provide. So we'll look at each of these a little more closely. With research support, our fellows indicated that having support in conducting academic research, as well as support in writing an academic paper, was beneficial. So with conducting academic research, fellows indicated that they felt helped when the mentor provided feedback, when the mentor helped narrow a topic, so really kind of focusing that research question for their paper, and then also how to stay focused on the topic, which is connected to navigating literature. Because once the fellows start using databases and searching for articles, sometimes it's easy for that scope of a question to widen. And so fellows needed to learn how to stay focused on their specific research question and navigate that literature successfully of what they're going to include and what they're going to exclude in terms of their reading and analysis. And then having mentors who have the fellow make connections with other faculty members was helpful because they were able to network and then talk with individuals who had similar research interests to the fellows. Fellows also found it helpful when mentors provided resources and tools to write the systematic review paper. So whether that was a citation manager, knowing how to access a journal database to get a specific issue or volume. When the mentor provides skills on how to scan an article. So academic articles can be very dense. So being able to scan it quickly to know if this is an article that might be worth keeping and reading or one that can be excluded. And then also fellows found it helpful when mentors presented writing as a process, meaning that one's writing is always going to be a work in progress and that is going to take multiple stages and steps to get through. Mentors appreciated a supportive relationship, and they indicated this was related to time commitment from the mentor as well as emotional support. So fellows indicated that they liked it when the mentor actually created time for them. And in that space, they were able to talk to the mentor, the mentor answered questions for them. And they also indicated that the type of communication mattered. So where some fellows were okay having a relationship over phone and email, other fellows really valued having more in-person communication with their mentor. With emotional support, the fellows benefited when they felt comfortable approaching the mentor for help, meaning the mentor created a space where the fellow felt trust and they felt safe, and safe showing vulnerability, where they were learning new skills, they may mess up, they might be confused about something, and being able to talk about that and show that vulnerability was beneficial to them. And then lastly, mentor modeling. And this was something that, based on the way that the fellows indicated in their feedback, we didn't think that the mentors actually realized that they were doing this modeling, but that it did appear beneficial for our fellows, where fellows indicated that when they saw mentors be excited about their research, it helped fellows stay connected to their own research. And seeing mentors, especially mentors that looked like our fellows in these positions of assistant and associate professors and conducting research, it showed them that they also could envision what they themselves could become in the future, attending graduate school and then getting positions within universities to teach and continue research. So in conclusion, we just like to note that while providing support to students in a learning environment may seem commonplace, we really believe that how the support is provided matters. And this is especially true for students from underrepresented backgrounds. So mentors should not approach their students or their mentees with a one-size-fits-all approach, but know that various types of support are beneficial, and even outright asking fellows, do you feel supported? In what ways? That can help a mentor change their supportive nature if needed. So thank you for your attention today. And if you have any questions, you can contact me at the email below. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you to everyone for showing up for this session. We really do appreciate it. This is our Q&A part of the presentation. And please ask any questions that you have of any of our fabulous presenters.
Hi, this is Jana Noel. I'm at Sacramento State with Jackie. I know some of you from our first round of Pathways Fellows grants. And I just wanted to ask those of you who call your mentors like a network of mentors and include those that are at your internship and apprenticeship sites, do you actively call those people mentors with those people who are the apprenticeship supervisors or the apprenticeship mentors out at those partner sites? So I guess my question is, do they know that they are mentors, or are they sort of supervising the work?
I can answer that. So at UTSA Pathways, yes, we purposefully and multiple times during the sessions with the fellows, we tell them that it's important for them to expand their network of mentors, and that mentors actually that they should seek for multiple mentors, and that through the interactions that are provided through the program, that some of the people that they'll meet, they'll become mentors. And this is especially evident during the internships. So with ETS and Stanford and so on, they make those connections with faculty, but also with the graduate students, for example, at Stanford, and they reach out to them without even us being part of those conversations, and then they become mentors after the program is after they finish the program with us. Some of the outside mentors write letters of recommendation, for example, for when they apply to the graduate programs.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Guadalupe. Do we have any additional questions?
I do. This is Katina. I have a follow-up question for that. So in terms of training, right? So you have your official mentors, and then we have people who become de facto mentors. Have you guys thought about having training for other people in the network that might become mentors, like the supervisors at their apprenticeship sites, et cetera?
That's a great question, Katina. I know that we just started, as we're transitioning actually to the new grant, that we are actually kind of structuring orientation for our established mentors, faculty research mentors. And we do consider all of the other participants to be quasi-mentors, right? But we haven't structured anything in terms of onboarding them in terms of what that role is. I think that a lot of times our fellows do get that from especially from our apprenticeship site supervisors. They end up building some really great relationships with them, but doing something very structured in terms of, these are the expectations we have of you in terms of a mentorship role. We have not done that, but that's an excellent suggestion. That's a great suggestion. And I'm interested in hearing what other programs have to say.
We have actually built in that possibility in our training efforts. So all of the PIs for the grant endure a mentoring training, and that person who conducts the training upholds a train the trainer model. And so that once the co-PIs are trained, we can then train other people or people outside of our primary mentoring network. We can train them how to mentor others.
Excellent. Thank you, Nina. Does anyone else want to chime in to respond to Katina's question?
I can say with our grant, we have officially started training our mentors this year. So we just had our first training last year from somebody in our university who went through the National Academy of Mentor Training, and she brought her resources to bear on this training. Oh, thanks, Alicia. So she's saying which grant we're with our program. And then we also used the same person last year to train our peer mentors. So she did a peer mentoring session as well.
That's awesome. Thank you. Do we have any additional questions about mentorship or about the partners that help us to facilitate our programs? And maybe it might be, because to me, there are so many new faces here, faces that I don't recognize. If maybe we could just go around the room for a second and have people introduce themselves. Is that okay? So I'm Jackie Brooks. I'm at the Sacramento State University, and I work with the Pathways Fellows Program there. I'm working with our, well, I've worked with the old grant, working with the new grant as well. Maybe I'm thinking, maybe off to my left, because I can see Anne Marie, and then over to Nina.
Hi, I'm Anne Marie Ryan. I'm at the University of Texas at San Antonio. I work with Guadalupe Carmona, and we have the Pathways, the P20 Pathways grant that we work on together, and you heard us describe that just today.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Nina Smith. I serve as a co-investigator for RISE, which stands for Research Institute for Scholars of Equity. I know there are 2 RISE Pathways programs. I work closely with Dr. Juanetta Lee, who could not be here today.
Hi, I'm Megan Stump. I'm at the University of Maryland as a postdoctoral fellow and program coordinator for the other RISE. And our Pathways program is Research Institute for Scholars in Education.
Maybe down to you, Guadalupe.
Sure, Guadalupe Carmona, and I'm with the UTSA P20 Pathways program with Anne Marie Ryan and several colleagues here who are our collaborators. Thank you for being here.
That's awesome. And maybe next, I believe it's Terry. Awesome.
Hi, I'm Terry Piggott from Georgia State University. I will be a new partner with the UTSA team and looking forward to that.
That's awesome. Congratulations. Next, I believe it's Eric.
Hi, I'm Eric Grodsky. I'm the Deputy Director for the Interdisciplinary Training Program at UW-Madison. It's nice to see everybody here.
Nice. Do you have good weather?
It sounds like Guadalupe might be outside. I'm not going outside for like 3 months. It's like -5 here. It's fine.
What I thought. I believe next is Janine.
Hi, I'm Janine Turner, and I'm at Florida State University, and I work with Alicia Rory. We have a purpose. Our grant is called Purpose, and it's a joint program between Florida A&M University and Florida State University.
That's awesome. Thank you, Janine. Hi, Jana.
Sorry, unmute myself, sorry. Jana Noel, I work with Jackie at Sacramento State. I was the project director for the first, or I am finishing up the first Pathways Fellows grant, and I'm co-PI with Jackie on the second one. I just have to say, I think that there are more sessions in this IES meeting this year that relate to diversity in some way than I've ever seen. Look at all the nodding. So Katina, I know you've been pushing for that. So I think all of us, yay. I think our programs have made a difference.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I heard my name, so I'll jump in. I'm Katina Stapleton. I'm the IES program officer for Pathways, as well as our predoctoral training programs. And it is in fact true that there has been a push for us to be more conscious of diversity and inclusion issues at IES. What a lot of people don't realize is that it started pre-2020. So some people think like, you know, we had COVID, we had the political unrest, and then everyone around the country was like, diversity and inclusion, we have to get on this. But we'd actually started before that with the Pathways programs for at least, I want to say since like 2015, we had really started looking at this issue in our predoctoral training program. So this is something that we've been thinking about a long time in training. I think the new addition is how we think about it through all of our grant programs and through IES as a whole. And so anyone that's received emails from me gets like spams with our diversity statement and our listening series and in our blog series, because we're really trying to get the word out that we're thinking about these issues seriously. And then we're also trying to get the word out for potential changes. And so this is our second PI meeting in a row focused on equity. And when the co-chair said, we want to do this again, we said, okay, right? It's still relevant. It's not going away. So I'm really excited that this program really is one of the success stories for diversity and inclusion. You guys got a big shout out during the commissioner's opening this year. Well deserved. So.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Katina. We really do appreciate that. Thank you. I think next is it Alicia?
Yeah, Alicia Rohrig, and along with Janine Turner. She said purpose, and I always forget exactly what all the letters stand for, so I looked it up. It's Partners United for Research Pathways oriented to social justice and education. So all of our research is about how something about how education, can make a difference. And as Janine said, we work with FAMU, and we were really excited when last year we got renewed. So right now we're closing out Purpose 1.0, where I was the PI, and now Janine's the PI on Purpose 2.0. And we have sort of mixed cohorts right now. We just kicked that off a couple weeks ago.
That's wonderful. Congratulations. Congratulations. Wynetta, we were just introducing ourselves.
Pardon my tardiness, I had some technical difficulties.
Okay.
I didn't think it was going to let me into the session, but I'm Wynetta Lee. I am the PI for RISE, Research Institute for Scholars of Equity. There is another RISE. We all do equally good work, so I'm happy to be confused with them. I'm at North Carolina Central University, which is a historically Black college, but we do serve a diverse population. So I will stop there so that we can get into more salient discussion. Oh, with me today is also Dr. Nina Smith. I think she's under the weather, but she's actually one of our original mentors.
Wonderful. Thank you, Wynetta. And I believe the last person is Francesca.
Hi, I am the program coordinator for the Pathways program at UTSA, and I'm happy to see familiar faces. I'm not API or co-PI, so I'm just research program coordinator, but nice meeting you.
Thank you so much. I don't know if anyone has an additional question, but I was wondering if people want to comment on whether you've seen an increased need for mentorship over the past couple of years. We know it's been a very rough past couple of years, not only for our program participants that are outside of campus or on campus, but our fellows in particular. And I know that the past cohort 5 was completely online for our program, but they were very unique in terms of building community by themselves. And so we were really interested to find that they were reaching out to each other through various social media groups, applications and platforms, and they were really trying to find a way to partner with each other, which was absolutely fantastic. And I see that Katina has a question.
I did. It's really just an extension of your question. It was really like, what sort of extra supports did you guys need to put in place as COVID took everything topsy-turvy, and not just for the fellows, but for you as well as PIs and mentors?
Wow.
Thank you for that, Katina.
I will take a shot at this. What I've observed and what others working with me have observed over the last 2 cohorts is this uptick in mental health support needed. Our faculty mentors are equipped and ready to help them with research, they are not equipped to help students get counseling or what have you. And I even had a session with one of our counselor educators for them to come talk to the fellows about what counseling is, that it's not a stigma attached to it. Everybody needs another ear at some point in time. But we're just not equipped to do any deep dive in mental health things. We have good resources on campus, and I have learned procedures when students really have a breakdown as to in sequence, because we are a public institution, and sequence what has to happen in those situations. But I've noticed that the cognitive ability of the fellows and the emotional stability of the fellows don't always perfectly correlate in a positive kind of way. So we can use some help with that, and maybe even some more information for our mentors as to what is available, because our fellows don't just come from North Carolina. They come from various other institutions, and we don't always know what's available at their home institutions. And neither do our mentors at their home institutions.
I was
That's
going to say,
wonderful, Juanetta. Thanks. Is anyone else? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jana.
sorry, Jackie. I was wondering, I guess I should address you, Jackie, but all of you. I'm wondering if we all might not consider continuing a little bit of our virtual, even when we go back in person. We just started last year an alumni panel where we brought in online people who have been through the program and are now in doctoral or master's programs, and great feedback from our fellows, our current fellows. They even made relationships and continue those based on this basically 1.5 hours of just interacting with former fellows, but not going to want to bring in people from all over the country who are scattered for their programs. So I think maybe I would advocate, at least because I like virtual, I'm different than everybody else, but in those kinds of cases, maybe we might need to continue a little bit of virtual for those reasons.
Yeah, so especially for our cohort 3, I think that because the change was so sudden, we had to do a lot more check-ins with the fellows. There were all sorts of situations, and they had to be addressed in a very individual and personal level. And it required a lot more time, especially from Anne-Marie, Francesca, and I as Pathways staff, and directing them, like you all were saying, like for counseling and just the appropriate channels for how they could meet their needs. The needs were various, from deaths in the family to childcare for those who are parents, to relocation. So all sorts of situations that, again, were very individualized. Financial support as well for the transition online. So additional expenses like a printer or headphones, and ways to accommodate for that transition to online. However, things that were very positive that we want to keep, one of those is the collaboration with UW-Madison. And so they had to accommodate to changing their seminars being online. And that provided the opportunity for our fellows, and they kindly invited us to participate every Friday. And that has been an amazing experience for our Pathways fellows, to the point where for Cohort 4, Martha Ali Valley flew into San Antonio and met, that was the first time that we met in person, the whole group, and it was just a fantastic experience, and they have been amazing mentors. So I think that we've been very lucky with the collaborators who have been supporting our program because they are natural mentors and they are very open and kind to being mentors to our fellows. So I'm going to stop here, but I don't know if there's anything else to add, Anne-Marie and Francesca, or anyone else from the other pathways.
Well, I think by the time that the fourth cohort came in, they had so much time online with their regular courses that they had become a little bit better at it. But then when they finally met each other in person, then they were like, oh, I wish we could have done this in person. So it was all this regret about virtual. But they did love meeting all the other group. They met folks from Stanford online. They met the UW-Madison folks online. And so they liked, and the ETS sessions were online. So they loved that, access that online gave them. So they've become quite savvy now, some of these students, because of the online experiences through COVID. But yeah, I would agree that cohort 3 had the roughest time. And I have to say that was a very intense time for us. And we already work with a population that has, all of our students, it's a diverse population in terms of their needs. I just want to be really clear, but all of them do have a need, might have more needs than others, given our particular institution. So this certainly put things in high relief.
That's great. That was a wonderful question, Jana, because I think it's maybe we have to figure out some way to maybe maintain some aspects of the virtual environment, not only because fellows and our partners have become used to it, so it has become kind of more normalized for them, but it also does present some wonderful opportunities to maybe do some types of collaboration that you typically would not be able to do in a completely face-to-face environment. It does help to increase opportunities across the board, which makes our fellows just feel even more supported, which is definitely what we want for them at the end. I think there are some things in the chat that I believe it's been my responsibility to actually take a look at. Oh yeah, okay, so I see some comments from Eric and Anne-Marie. That's awesome. Do we have any other, I know that it's 2:15, so I know that we're running on time. And I know, Katina, before I saw your hand up, and I know it went down, but I don't know if that's because
You've answered my questions.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, great. I wanted to make sure that I did that. Do we have any concluding thoughts, or this has been absolutely fantastic to meet with you and to talk with you, and for us really to have some fellowship ourselves, which is probably, I know that Wynetta has suggested that we do this a little bit more, right?
Yes, I think we should do it more, but I also think it would be nice if we could have some sort of virtual conference, sort of like this one, where all of the fellows from all of the programs get to see what other programs are about, what they're doing. I think that might be helpful to the fellows, and maybe we could have some of our alumni fellows as well do some sessions. And we had discussed that it's time for us to start writing our individual stories to compile an edited book. So I hadn't forgot that. I promised I would try to get us organized around that. I'd do that. But most importantly, I want to say a public thank you to Katina, because I'm her problem child. I call her with some of the most ridiculous stuff and high volume stuff. And so for your patience and your pleasant countenance at each inquiry, I do thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Katina. Thank you for all of your support. Thank you for attending today. We really do appreciate everything that you've done to help support our programs.
Thank you for your leadership too, Jackie.
Oh, if that's what you want to call it, Juanita.
Thank you for your
Sure.
Oh, AERA, right. People are going to AERA. Absolutely fantastic. That's wonderful.
I was thinking it might be good to have folks gather there, at least socially, to meet each other in person if they pull it off. And also this idea that Wyneta's putting forth about maybe some writing. So
yeah, I think that's a great idea. I'm definitely open to it, and whenever you want to get that started.
Okay. Regrettably, I won't be at AERA, but if there's some time during that meeting that we could pull together a virtual meeting, that would be great.
That sounds wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Well, have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you for attending. Thanks to the wonderful presenters. Thank you so much. Really do appreciate it. And have a wonderful afternoon.
Jackie, for organizing us. Yay.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Keep making good choices to stay healthy, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Bye.
Bye-bye.